Good evening to all, and welcome to the Chatter Afters official companion podcast of HBO's The Last of Us. I am Brandon, the caretaker of the Jackson Theater, and I'm accompanied by just going over the Jordan. Brett. These headlines are the best thing that
Too much fun.
StreamYard has ever
Too much
come up
fun.
with. It's amazing. Hey man, what's up?
What's
How you
going
been?
on?
You been?
Another week, another episode of The Last of Us.
Another phenomenal episode, actually.
Another amazing episode. Yeah.
It's so funny because the first time I saw it, I'm gonna be honest, this was the one episode that the first time I saw it, I was kind of sour on it just because as before the show started its run, I have come out fresh out of playing The Last of Us Part 1, the
Mhm.
PS5 remake. So there's scenes in this game, in this story that you kind of like hold dear so much that when you see differences, it kind of like bothers you.
Yeah, no, I get nags at you a little bit.
So the first time to me it was like, this is, but then like I was able to get all of that out of my system. I watched it a second time and I was able to go, okay, another amazing episode. I have no complaints. I'm an idiot for thinking that I didn't like it the first time, but what a great episode! What a great contrast to last week's episode as well. This show, it's Steve Buscemi numbers. That's all I got to say.
Buscemi numbers.
So guys, as you guys know, here we seek the art beyond the clickers, and we have a lot to talk about today. We are giving our first impressions. We're going to talk some very interesting, funny news that came out throughout the week after the release of the episode. Then we're going to go into the episode and highlight those things that made it a phenomenal adaptation and make the show its own thing. And of course, for all those fellow Telu fans out there, those gamers out there that love their Easter eggs, we have an Easter egg list for you to close the episode out. So let's start with the new stuff first.
Yeah.
This is hilarious. Like, I'm not even mad about it. I am kind of mad about the fact that the way whoever made the article, I think it was comicbook.com, made it sound like this is a mistake. This shouldn't happen. But I'm like, dude, it's they're human. Things happen. I just find this low-key hilarious. I don't find it. I mean, why would you people get upset about this, Brett? So apparently, there's a scene or a sequence or just a. Because I'm gonna be honest, I've seen it twice now, and I didn't notice it not even once.
I didn't notice it when it happened, so yeah.
Right. So like someone's just looking for stuff like, I'm gonna hate something today. Let me find it. like
Yeah.
And apparently there's like a place where you can see part of the crew, like in the little corner. You can kind of see it in this image in this tweet, and it's like, hey guys, you might want to fix this. And I'm like, it's charming.
Yeah, right. No, I get it. It's like, oh, it's prestige TV. Like, oh, you guys are professionals. You're supposed to make sure every shot's perfect. Listen, sometimes you don't get the right coverage. It's just like the nature of I've crewed films before, like actual productions, little indie films too, and I've been on like some big budget productions, and it's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of coordination. Like mistakes happen. I know everyone's referencing obviously the Starbucks cup that was from in Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
So everyone's like, this is like the Last of Us' Starbucks cup moment. But yeah, I mean, whatever.
See,
like
Starbucks cup would make sense here, though.
Right, exactly. That could work. But yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, I get people get frustrated. They're like, oh, it's like a prestige, production. These things shouldn't happen. Oh, it takes me right out of it. But like, people are just also over the top, and they just want to like get a couple of clicks and go, they want to just be that big negative voice, and it's just it's not that big of a deal. It's not the end of the world. Okay, look, you caught it. Haha, it's funny. It'll just go down in like TV trivia history. Like,
Right.
like,
It's not even like it doesn't ruin the experience for anybody.
No.
And if you're the type of person that kind of thing ruins the experience for you, then I think you're watching the show for the wrong reasons.
Yeah,
I
and I
mean,
think a lot
you're
of
not
people don't understand like what goes into making a film and like how much,
True.
just how many different teams and crew people are going on, and just so many different things going on at once, and it's a lot. And like whatever, they might have needed that shot, and the only shot they had happened to have, some crew members in it, and someone didn't catch it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of hours of footage to go through, and it's everyone's human. It's a mistake. So it reminds you that these are all just real people that do all
Yep.
this. Not
Yep.
super.
Yep. You know what would have been funnier? See, this is the kind of thing that part of me wouldn't forgive, but I would forgive it because how funny it would be. What if the shot was a guy in the clicker prosthetics and he's just drinking coffee and eating crackers,
Having a Budweiser, yeah.
having a bud.
Yeah, like something like that would be like pretty egregious, I guess. I don't know. I mean, like even still, I'm not going to be like crying on Twitter about it.
Yeah, and it's so what I am going to be crying on Twitter about though, which was be funny. You see the little river brook that's like in the corner there.
Yeah.
I go back to this parody that someone made. I have no idea who did it. This is not Last of Us related, but I have to say it. So you know that the first Flash poster they put out there was like the Flash with like the bat wing on top of it, and there's a little bit of the waterfall like on the center. Someone did an edit and put the duck boat from Batman Returns just go.
That's
just
amazing.
So now I want that boat, the little duck boat, in every shot. So it should
Just
have
in
been
every shot.
in this shot. This shot is just missing the little duck boat from Batman Returns. That's what needs to happen. If it doesn't have it, it's not perfect. Now, this other little piece of news, which again, nothing like groundbreaking. We know this show continues to break records. Period. Like it's been said and done. This is what this show is doing. But I'm very surprised that I did not see this particular article around when episode 3 came out. And the funny thing is that it makes all the sense in the world because we know what Nick Offerman is about. So the idea that he just fixed the set production.
He was like, I can fix this.
I can fix this. So it's just Bill being Bill. I don't know. This is hilarious. I love how all Nick Offerman's roles are like blending into one. So he's not Ron Swanson. He's Nick Offerman playing Ron Swanson.
Yeah, no, Nick Offerman is just everybody now. He is all of his characters, and yeah, exactly. Like they are now one.
I have a feeling that with everything going on with Marvel right now, they got to forget Kang. They got to do the Nick Offerman dynasty and just do the Council of Offermans.
The Council of Rons. Council of Nick. Yeah. No, it really is like his real life has just bled into everything he does now, and I love it. Yeah. It's serendipitous.
You know about the reality show that he has with Amy Poehler?
Yeah, it's Making It, I think it's called.
Yeah, it's like it's all about what works and stuff like that. So that's just, I don't know, funny, hilarious. Now we have to start the episode. We have to start talking about this. And I found it very surprising the way the episode starts. Not just because they're making us slightly relive the trauma of the ending of the episode 5, right? But in a different way. And funny enough, I have to say it, this is an Easter egg in and of itself, the way the sequence goes about. Because so in episode 5, at the end of it, we have the whole scene with Sam and Henry, where Sam is overcome by the fungal infection and attacks Ellie, and Henry views Sam as a threat, takes him down, and then takes himself down after he realizes what he's done. Now in episode 5 at the end, we have a moment to grieve and mourn with Ellie and Joel as we find them burying Henry and Sam. Ellie writing "I'm sorry," putting it on top of the burial, which again is original to the show, but I think it was very much needed release of tension, and we all needed to grieve with them.
Sure.
So that was very dramatic and very powerful and a great way to end the episode. But in episode 6, it's done for a different context. And funny enough, this is what happens in the game.
Right.
In the game, there's no grief. There's no moment of levity or trying to gather yourself after the event. As soon as Henry pulls that trigger, the screen goes to black, just like it happens at the beginning of the episode. And you move forward in time.
Yep.
I think this is when I think this is when you enter to, I think it's either summer or fall season. No, you enter the fall season, or the first season change, I think. And it's time has passed, and they're heading towards Tommy.
Yeah.
We're a lot closer to where Tommy is. So here, we're not doing the game thing where he's going through seasons, but as soon as the screen goes to black and it goes and light comes back, the sun hits, there's snow. So just by the fact that you see snow covering the landscape, you know you're in a different season. So it kind of gives you that sense of change and time passing. But we also get 3 months later.
Yes.
And if you go back to the conversation that Henry and Joel had, right? It's like, I don't know how I'm getting there. I'm probably walking.
Yeah.
So they've been walking for 3 months.
Yeah. It's been a long journey.
It's been a long walk. Do you think they're counting steps?
Yes. I think they found a couple of Fitbits and they're tracking their steps.
Yeah, I wouldn't be with. I mean, Joel's watch is broken, so he couldn't really carry that. But we get this nice little setup because in the beginning, I liked the bait and switch because I thought that was Joel carrying those rabbits. That hunt, that was Joel's hunt. That in my mind, that's what I'm thinking. Like, they found this empty cabin and they're kind of like resting a little bit before the journey. But that's not Joel, though.
Yeah.
The person we meet is the one and only, if I can find the right picture, I believe his name is Graham Greene.
Mm-hmm.
The great Graham Greene.
This guy's been in like so many things
for years, bro.
Yeah.
I love the delivery and the play between him and Florence that plays his wife.
Oh, they're great. Yeah.
They're amazing.
Great. See, so good.
I know they said they're not making any content beyond the games, but I need this spinoff. like we need this sitcom. The Last of Us presents Marlon and Florence infected. Like I just find it hilarious. But what an interesting change of pace. And I think one of the best things that occurs in this scene is how Ellie feels like she feels that she's connected with Joel to a point where she gets away with things and Joel just understands.
Right. Yeah, you know see, what
I mean?
It was a great way to like show like how their relationship has advanced and progressed over these 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah. And like Joel tries to be the badass, right? And then Ellie's like, "Hey, can I come down?"
Yeah.
And then she comes out. And the guy goes like, "Who's this firecracker?"
Yeah. No,
so when you saw this scene, what were your thoughts in this whole sequence?
Yeah, no, I mean, like, well, the first thing, I was fooled. I was waiting for like, to see Joel, and I was like, oh, but who the hell is this guy? And when we found out like Joel was in there already, like holding like the wife up, basically. No, it was great. Like he was just like he played. Graham Greene just played it like so like smooth. Like he was just cocksure, like and just like pretty tough still. Like you know what I mean? Like he wasn't like, you didn't like get all shaky or like scared. He was just like, all right, let me just see what you want to do. I think in a way maybe he could tell that Joel was like legit, because he didn't. He's like, I don't know, no one needs to get hurt, no one, whatever. He was like, just want to know some information. And but it was great. Yeah, it was great how they were messing with him. Yeah,
and also I love how Graham's character, his attitude completely changes when he sees Ellie.
Oh yeah. Because he knows, like you got this little girl with you, like you're not gonna probably do anything that crazy, maybe, like I think that kind of like lessened the fear for him. But yeah, it was a cool conversation, and I love that. And then I'm sure you were gonna get to it, but like I love that they're telling the story about what's going on, and Ellie's like, you can't scare us, and then the wife goes, scared him, and you see Joel's face, and that ends up being kind of like a running theme, I guess, through this episode,
right?
Is the fear that Joel actually has. He looks all, sure and tough, and he's the protector, but he, as we learn, we'll get to it a little more in depth. Like he is actually maybe more afraid than Ellie. He's more afraid than anybody. in this situation. So interesting to see that, and it's shown in this show a bit different. Well, I don't even know if we get that much from him in the game. We don't. And there's kind of like a physical manifestation that we get in this episode too.
Yes,
that we start to see with it, like it's kind of like a panic. I don't know if we're getting too far ahead right now. Panic attacks though, and we start seeing that fear and the anxiety get to Joel and starting to eat at him and actually causing him to like slow down a little bit, have to take a breath, and again that all culminates in this like really I'm getting ahead again, but a great scene between him and his brother that's very emotional and like just gives us a lot of insight to a character, because again it goes back to this player agency thing that we talked about. I think on like episode 0 I was talking like how are they going, because like everyone's Joel when you play the game, because Joel is you, like you're Joel, everyone kind of sees their Joel differently or has their version of Joel. And obviously there's a lot of stuff there with the cutscenes. You can't really deny that stuff, but through your gameplay, you can kind of define what kind of guy your Joel is and how he tackles situations.
You add the nuances.
Yeah, you kind of you fill in the blanks.
Right.
But you don't have that now. So now like they have to make a choice and take a stance with this character. And that was like a really interesting wrinkle and humanized them, and I think also just made it more realistic. That's one of the things too, like I hate this term because it got so blown out of proportion and overused. But remember, like,
chat, welcome Derpy.
Oh, hey Derpy.
Hey fellas, get back gay.
Uncharted 4, around when that game came out, if you remember, there was a big buzzword in games journalism, and it was ludonarrative dissonance. I don't know if you remember everyone talking about ludo. So ludonarrative dissonance. I'm not going to explain it that great. Just fucking look it up, as we say. But basically, it's the idea that like for example, the biggest example that came out was Uncharted. Like, okay, Nathan Drake's this good guy, he's our hero, but if you really like. And we see all like all these cool things, and he's funny and charming and like a badass and all the cutscenes. But then like during the gameplay, he's a mass murderer. Like Nathan Drake is just like slaughtering people without hesitation. So that's what ludonarrative dissonance is like where the gameplay action maybe or the action taken by the characters don't necessarily match the narrative of the story and like what they're trying to play the character as. So it came up in Uncharted a lot. And I think, that definitely, happens. And it's a Naughty Dog game also. So I think there is that thing in Naughty Dog, like, oh, we want Joel to be the hero, but, he's also just murdering people in cold blood. And, and especially in this, like we get, a lot of, I think the last episode or in this episode too, like they talk about him they straight up were just murdering innocent people. So he was like a cold-blooded murderer. So it's interesting. Like you can't really, yeah. And Derpy, I see Derpy. The show has done it better in my opinion. Yes, they have.
Yes.
They are because then this one they had to make a choice.
Said, Derpy.
It's not your choice. They had to make a choice here and like develop that. Like where it's they don't have you to fill in the blanks. They have to show, not tell. So to speak. So, I think this is like at least addresses it to show that like, okay, he does feel some remorse. He is damaged from the things that he's had to have done over these 20 years, where Nathan Drake will just get to a shootout, kill about 60, waves of enemies. And then he's just like, let's go on an adventure. And he's just like, it's like no PTSD, no fear. He's just, whatever. Oh, another foothold fell out from under me. Like, like that's basically the whole thing.
Like, he's already at his limit. Like he's not able to like,
yeah,
I got the treasure. That's all that matters.
And again, it grounds it though. It makes sense. Like this guy, you can't do what this guy Joel has been doing for 20 years and come out unscathed and just be like this lovey-dovey like cuddle bug. You know what I mean? Like he's got to really let some walls and barriers and I think that's why he's able to kind of be honest in this, because I think you see like Ellie is breaking his barriers down. He's like breaking those walls down now.
Yeah.
And now the scared man is showing. The wall's not really up anymore. The scared man's coming out. And it's a great thing, man. I love watching characters just under pressure and in fear and like, you know, just seeing like how is this person gonna like adapt to the situation. Like that's just like the best part of games, stories in general, like, right, like that's the thing we all love, why we keep watching movies and stories. We love the struggle, we love the drama, like, you know, that's it. And this is a cool choice. It's a, you know, a cool choice, I think a smart choice. And like, you know, like Dirk, you said, it sticks with the source material like very, very well, so it doesn't really like make anything, you know, out of whack, or like, you know, that I didn't watch that choice and go, oh no, that's like wrong, Joel would never do that, like, you know, like, because, you know, it's good, it was a good choice.
Yeah, Derpy, and I agree with you with Derpy. Like with the small Derpy says in the chat, for those that are just hearing the episode, with the small little changes, it's made it better while sticking to the material. And I think that's the magic, right? Like the cinematic magic is that I think it goes back to the whole player agency thing, but from a different perspective, right? This is Pedro Pascal's playthrough. This is his Joel.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
This is his Joel. This is the nuances that he puts in there, right? He's very careful with his ammunition, very careful to how he approaches people, but very lethal when he needs to be, you know.
Yeah.
And I love that they're allowing to show these sides of him, because it's like in the cutscenes, right? You only have so much time in the game to make him make these decisions, and when he gets to make the decisions to stay with Ellie or to do the things that he does, it's because there's so much gameplay white noise.
Yeah,
you're just gripped by those cutscenes when it happens. You don't have the gameplay white noise anymore. You don't have the obstacles to overcome that literally allow your emotions are heightened. And then when you get into the cutscene, it's just the emotion is just being taken over by the text, right? It's getting taken over by the cutscene, and you're just flowing with that. Here, you have to build up to that. So it's very smart that understanding the fears and the pain and how much Joel is hurting.
Yeah,
that is how you build to the climactic emotional scene in this episode.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you remember in the game, there's a lot of gameplay before you take that horse ride to that house.
Yeah.
Where you find Ellie and you have that moment. But now it's like we know how, like, for up to this point, we know how Ellie feels. Ellie, like, especially when you go back to episode 5, that moment where the sniper starts attacking, you can tell that Ellie's mind's already set. Like, if you're not here, I'm screwed. So I care about you, but I need you. I need you to be by my side. Joel doesn't see it that way, but now he's starting to feel that way. So now he's questioning whether or not he's good enough to be what Ellie needs. So now we can use that emotional trail to build up to that moment.
Yeah.
Which is why in the show it delivers. And I love that we focus this episode in particular was so Joel centric. I actually liked it a lot because of that.
Yeah.
It was very Joel centric, but at the same time, you have a lot of little Ellie stuff sprinkled throughout that made it so much fun. So Derpy throws something in the comment that I think is interesting. He says, I do think they should keep Bella instead of recast if they adapt part 2, which they will be using technology with what they did with Luke and Leia, maybe age her up, face up, and use tone double similar. So interestingly enough, first off, that's a very interesting point. I've been thinking a lot about this.
Yeah, I wanted to comment on this one too. Yeah, but
I've been thinking a lot about this, and I think it's Derpy put it out there as a great moment to talk about this. I love Bella Ramsey as Ellie, but part of me questions whether or not we are ready to see her carry the performance that part 2 brings with Ellie, right? No spoilers on why the performance is different, but for those that know the game, know that the performances are very different, and the type of ferocity that the role evolves it, the kind of ferocity that goes into that take on the role in that storyline, it's very particular. But at the same time, I also think that if you look at Bella's performance, which I kind of noticed it a lot on this episode.
Uh-huh.
I mean, Bella is 19, I believe.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. She's 19 playing a 14-year-old. So
Right.
by the time they make a part 2 to do, a season 2 that does the part 2 of the game, she's gonna be like 21, 22. It's gonna take them 2 or 3 years before by the time this comes out, unless they roll right into it. So I mean, I don't think they need to do any kind of technology. Like, if she still looks a little young, because she is a little like young in the face, like looking like. I think just a little makeup could make her look a little more world weary. She's only supposed to be 19. She's gonna be 21. She's gonna be right in the age range.
Right.
I think this girl has what it takes.
Yeah.
And listen, we still have like 4 episodes, 3 or 4 episodes left. 4 episodes left, I think, because it's 10 episode season. This thing, right?
It's 9 episodes, I think it is.
Oh, 9. Okay, so we have like 3
after
episodes.
This one, you got another 3. Yeah.
Cool. So there's 3 episodes left for her to maybe see some ferocity in her, and we know there's some parts of the game where that does come out. And we see that. And we saw her be pretty badass in the last episode where they had the bloater attack, where she was like, she did the knife shank, the neck shank. She was like jumping on their backs and stabbing the crap out of them. So yeah, I don't think they will need to do any technology. I see Bella is short. I don't think
he says he wants her to be taller. Now I
don't think. I'll be honest. Like stuff. I mean, listen. Everyone be entitled to that one. Stuff like height, like, doesn't really bother me. You know what I mean? That much. Like, she's not like. Is she that tall in the game? Like, Ellie's like a little like frail petite girl. Like, she's not like.
I mean, I think she's probably.
I shouldn't say frail petite.
She's probably 5'6".
But
she's maybe like 5'6", 5'4".
5'6". How tall is Bella? 5'2", 5'3"? I don't know.
Right. But also, if you look at her performance, right. Well, here's the thing: if Tom Cruise can play Jack Reacher,
listen, Hugh Jackman was too tall and not stocky enough to play Wolverine, and guess what? Everyone's like, please, never anyone else. Like, you know what I mean? So, like,
I mean, Deadpool 3 people. Come on.
That's a thing. Like, I just feel like we look at one performance or one iteration of something from like an actor or a director or from a lot of creatives, and then we like always get locked into like, oh well, that's all they can do. Like, and meanwhile, how many times have we been proven wrong by so many actors, so many directors? Like, people always go, oh, so and so's directing it. Like, oh, they direct, like, Craig Mazin's a part of this. He wrote The Hangover 1 and 2, and then it's like, oh yeah, but he did Chernobyl and that. So you don't just like judge people by one project that they did. I don't know. I just feel like I would not like to see it. Now that I'm getting attached to Bella as Ellie,
yes,
I think like more and more as I watch the show, she feels like
so they're doing the right things, right? She's doing all the right things.
Yeah, and she's not mimicking Ashley Johnson in any way, but I totally get the same vibe and energy and aura from her as I did from Ashley Johnson's performance. So I don't see why this she's a young actor, and she can totally turn it up, man. I've been surprised by so many people in the past. You know what I mean? Like, we can go down the list of how many people that just like surprised us in these roles. So I don't know. I just think it's too early to say that, to maybe like be putting that out there. And, she doesn't look exactly or really at all like Ellie, facial feature wise, or like Ashley Johnson. Like, she doesn't, you know what I mean? But I don't know, but also at the same time, like, the more I see her as Ellie, like, she does. I don't know.
It makes sense.
She's doing some really, really good work. And I think, now that she's had a season to get this character under the belt, and then like, go into the backstory of what happened between, Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2 and the story of Part 2, I think Bella will be able to deliver a kick-ass performance. So I would like to still see her carry on. We can make her a little taller, Derpy. It's simple. They put a boot on with like a fake heel. It gives her an extra 2 inches. You're good. You know what I mean? Like, that's not the stuff. The height's not going to make a difference. The character needs to just hit, they got to hit the notes,
I am going to put this last comment from Derpy in the chat. Says, Part 2, though, fellas, the tone. If you know the general man, Brandon, just imagine 2 years from now, or whenever season 2 comes out, nobody will be ready at all. It's a completely different game. Yes, this is a completely different animal. And I want to point something out here. And I love that we're talking about Bella's performance and how talented of an actor she is. And here's something that I've noticed a lot, which has everything to do with her as a performer, right? Because she's playing younger. she's always kind of like hunched over. She walks like with the foot like a wide step. Like you kind of notice that she's making a lot of physical decisions to kind of like portray the youthfulness of the character. So and also the way they're dressing her, it's very deliberate to make her feel like a smaller person. So
Yeah.
there are wonders that you can do with wardrobe if it's done right.
Well,
You know
and
what I mean?
actor physicality. I mean, like,
Correct. So
I'll
you
give
can
you
tell
like,
that she's being very physical. What she's doing now, I'm pretty confident that she has what it takes to bring that
yeah, she can
physicality to
stand
the
up a little
role.
taller and do that.
Yep.
Like, it's the same thing like when you watch Christopher Reeve, right? You do that famous
Yes,
scene,
the
him
hunch and
transformed in front of Lois,
yes,
hunched, from Clark into Superman.
yes,
Same thing. I
yes,
mean, like you watch Capote with Philip Seymour Hoffman. Truman Capote was like a very small, petite guy. Philip Seymour Hoffman was like a pretty tall, big, stocky guy, and he did not lose much weight for that role. You watch Capote, and you think Philip Seymour Hoffman as Capote is this small, frail, tiny guy, and it's just an amazing acting performance where the way he carries himself, he seems small. Listen, actors, like really good actors, are very capable of doing some amazing stuff that'll just trick your eye. And listen, they can do anything. Like obviously, like Ian McKellen is not that much bigger than what's his face, Elijah Wood, and they did amazing camera trickery to make the other characters look taller than the Hobbits. Like they can do a lot of stuff if you're worried about a couple of inches. So that's not what I'm worried about. But I do get that it's going to be the part 2 is much more emotional, much more violent. I think this show is about to get a little more emotional and violent too, as we know it's coming. So I don't know. I think I'm loving Bella Ramsey as Ellie. I think she's just doing such a good job. And I was iffy on her when I first saw the casting, when I first saw the shots, I first saw the trailer, when I first even saw the first episode or two, I was kind of like, and she has just totally owned the role, in my opinion. So I say, she earned it. Give her season 2, and let's see what's up. I want to see this girl go savage. I bet she can.
G Techie on the chat says Bella better hit the weight room before she faces off with Abby. So the funny thing is very interesting you say that because we've never seen her arms, so we don't know.
Right.
We don't know.
Well, let's not act like Ellie is jacked or buff at all. She's a very, very petite girl, like in the game. She's very petite.
And I think that's
she's strong, but she's not. She's more like
ferocious.
She's ferocious, like
she's like Cheetah. She's not buff.
Then strength,
she's just
physicality,
agile. Right. Yeah. Like she will just rip you apart.
She's resourceful.
Yes. Now, before we move on, I do have to highlight. She was so amazing. Elaine Miles was so amazing as Florence. The lines from this chat was her where like, "You made him soup? It's cold out there." like she was taken hostage in her own home and she made him soup. Like those kind of things. Oh no, we get fireflies in the summer. It is so funny. I have to say she was hilarious. Yes, she was. Yeah. Now, the whole thing with the panic attacks with Joel, I mean, I love how we build, right? And I love how we set that up. I love how they're putting that and they keep revisiting those moments. And again, to protect Ellie and not have her worry, he continues to lie. It's just the cold air. And then when he falls asleep, you can see in his face when he was supposed to take both watches, you see in his face that he's broken because he failed again.
Yeah.
He couldn't do it. And also I like how they're using that not just to show off his emotional stance, but also to highlight how older he is, which I think is also an important factor that you really don't get till like part 2, but you get it a lot here, which I think it's a very good thing to do as we build towards that. But one of my favorite moments before we get into the attack of the Jacksoneers, right? When they're having the night off and you see Ellie staring to the sky at the Aurora Borealis. And when they talk about the future, something that's never happened before. This is 100% original to the show. And I think it's one of the best pieces of dialogue to ever be added. because you get so much foreshadowing and kind of teasing for the future, which we can't talk about. We're not going to spoil.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like they allowed this to feel like this is definitely a conversation that occurred during part one. We just never got a chance to see it.
Right.
I love how organic it feels.
Yeah.
Love.
When they brought that up, I was like, oh, this is so cool. This is like, so like, no, now it like retroactively makes that thing that happens. I'll be so big.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
like even I was like, oh, that's cool that they planted it now. And then like, now I'm sure we will get that scene in season 2 or season 3, depending how they split it up.
Right.
It seems like they're going to probably milk 2 seasons out of the second game.
I can see 3 seasons.
Yeah, they've said as much. I mean, without putting a number on it, but they've said like, we think there's enough content there that we could break it up. So, especially, again, whatever. We're gonna like, I can't even say anything anyways. I'm gonna spoil it, so it's like whatever. Like, there are obvious reasons why they could break that up a lot more. But yeah, that was like a really cool little nod. And then there's another like little reference. It's not even a little reference. It's a big reference to something that happens in the game, but not here. If you want to cover that too, while we're kind of on the topic.
What Ellie's talking about?
Well, no, I was saying like the Jackson.
Well, we're going to go there now.
Yes.
But okay. I want to talk about how lovely it is to hear them talk about their dreams. Like they're having a happy conversation. This has never happened, or at least we haven't really seen it. So I love that. That's kind of a way of because the last real conversation that they've ever had together by themselves, it's you're not family, you're cargo.
Yeah.
I mean, they understood each other. They had some laughs. Diarrhea runs in your genes. Like you have those little things here and there, but Joel is still in cargo mode. But now the conversation is different. They've been together for months. They've been understanding each other. And now he's opening up about what the future would look like for him. Somebody's actually caring about him to a point that it's asking him these things. Because remember, he was just a black market smuggler that wanted to find his brother. But in his mind, he would find Tommy and probably bring him back to the Boston QZ. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like he was planning to stay over there, and just find a cabin or whatever. Like, that was the whole thing. That was the whole point, right? And then when Ellie talked about astronauts, it's again, those that know, but that is such a that warmed my heart. Is like, it happened here. It's great. I love how organically they're just putting stuff out there. And all you have to do is smile and goes, okay. It's like the penguins from Madagascar. You smile and wave, boys. That's it. And just keep on going. Did you like the fact that Ellie's trying to learn how to whistle?
Yeah, man. These are great callbacks and everything.
Yes. Now, what was my favorite? I love that moment. But my favorite moment, which to me didn't happen in the game, I think, if I remember correctly, but it happened here, but it's like the most Ellie thing that could have ever happened. Damn.
I was like, oh no.
that was so good, but so bad at the same time.
Yeah. I think Joel makes a comment that like, what's the name of the author? Like Will Livingston or something?
Yeah, he's just like, you're no Will Livingston.
He's like, you're no Will Livingston. It was great. It was good.
Yeah. So, and I love how he goes, and he goes, don't ask me how it works. I don't know.
Yeah, don't ask me how it works. I don't know.
And she goes, you could have lied to me. I would have believed you. Oh, it's so good. So we're surrounded with Jacksoneers. There's an original scene to the show because one of the greatest things that they switched out is that, which funny enough, when I was listening to the HBO podcast, Jackson was supposed to be a location in the first game. The budget just didn't allow it. The resources didn't allow it.
They had to go nearby Jackson.
Exactly. So they went with the whole dam or whatever, which is great because as this is not a spoiler because it kind of feels obvious. So I'm just going to say it. Jackson is a very important location in part 2.
Yep.
Like the majority of the first couple of chapters of that story occur in Jackson. So I love the fact that we made the decision to go straight there. And as an Easter egg of part 2, you know that there are people that leave Jackson to do reconnaissance and to find supplies. And those are the people that find Ellie and Joel.
Yep.
And the whole thing with the dog, bro.
Oh, that was stressful.
That was so bad. That was so bad. And like the sound effect, like every time Joel is having like a moment, you have that like loud tinnitus ring.
Yeah.
And like, and you're like, and your audio goes, and like you're already tense, and then that happening is like, oh my
God. Yeah. Because you just know, you're like, okay, well, she's bit and she does have a little bit of like scar there, assuming there is a little fungus in her. I don't know. And like, you don't know, is the dog going to smell that?
A little bit of fungus.
Yeah, a little bit of fungus. And yeah, it's like, you don't know. And I was like, oh, and that's like, you know, this is like unique for, I don't know what to expect here. I'm like, oh my God, This could be like a really big turning point, like just for, but you know, it all worked out. Spoilers, it all worked out.
Yeah, no, and I love how it's another creative way to accentuate her immunity. I love how they're finding ways to make this a point that we need to pay attention to. You know what I mean? Like, because in the first one, in the game, it's always like, okay, we know she's immune, and we don't care until the story demands it. You know what I mean? They're making it this running point in the show to actually highlight the fact that no, she's immune. And these are the different ways that you can tell. And I love how they use a dog because they don't have probably the technology to do things, but dogs can do this.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's so grounded, so powerful. It's so cool. Let me see. He agrees with us. Derby just says, yes, small things and better trust conversations. Yes. We need more of this in every single episode. Now, we enter Jackson, and what happens? Who does he find? Who does Joel find, Brett?
He finds Tommy.
Behind door number 3, here's Tommy.
Brother Tommy.
So the brothers reunite. They find themselves in Jackson. I love the line delivery, like, what are you doing here? It's like, I came here to save you. And you can see like the smile on his face, like the sincerity of peace just coming through him. And then we have the diner scene, which again, it's hilarious, but I love how much of an asshole Joel is to Maria.
Yeah.
And Ellie is such an asshole as well. Like, Ellie's just following Joel.
Yeah, she's like, they're like just a little like two peas in a pod now, right? And it's like,
yeah, it's like just a bunch of assholes. Now, there's a moment where Joel is kind of saying, your manners, blah, blah, blah. And suddenly, Ellie notices that someone is just staring at her.
Mm-hmm.
So, did your mind go there, Brett?
You know, I don't, to be honest, I saw like all this talk about it after. I don't even
I have to
notice
this
during the episode.
D-Techie just Dina was stressing around.
Yeah, so I don't even think I noticed that during the episode at all. That just went totally past me. I could have been like slightly distracted. As for people who do listen, I'm like displaced right now. Like, I'm recording this in my home that I own right now, but like it's under construction. So when I leave here, I go back to I'm living back at my mom's now. So it's like my mom's there and then my dad's there and everyone's like talking and there's all this like nonsense going on. So like, I'm definitely like, it's not my ideal silent, watching environment that I normally have at home with my setup and everything. So I could be missing some of the little nuances, but that's so funny though that they kind of I love that they're introducing this. This is great. Like this is just cool stuff, and it shows that like they must have been super confident that this show was going to get picked up because they're planting a lot of stuff that's going to pay off, in part 2, and it's cool.
No, and I love how they play it off. Like, I mean, that could be Dina, maybe not.
I didn't notice. Now
we don't know.
It's not so Shannon Woodward voiced Dina in the game, but they modeled the Dina's look after like some other actress. I forgot her name. She's really pretty. Like that's exact. Oh, but literally they modeled it exactly like her face.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm curious.
Yes.
Did they have that girl for this or no? It's just
No.
a vaguely looking
But
Dina
because
girl.
of course this is a lot
Oh,
younger,
whoops.
right? It's a lot younger. So Dina, like the one they used as a model for Dina, of course, is probably 18, 20-year-old Dina. This is a lot younger, so of course it's a different actress.
Right.
But at the same time, I mean, they're being very coy on whether or not this is that character. And of course, I can only say the name of the character because spoilers. But it would be interesting if that was her, and I just find it hilarious that that's the first interaction. Now Tommy's married, just like in the game. I love. Did you like that? You know what's the funniest moment, Brett? And these are the kind of things where I love the best shows, no matter what they are, an adaptation, original project. I love when shows start to generate their own like inner jokes throughout the world building. When they're going through the sheeps and Ellie just goes, "Hey Joe, look." Like, just, I love how she's such a dick to Joe, and Joe is like laughing like nobody understands it, but they understand it. It's just hilarious. So we go to that conversation because there's two very big conversations that occur. One of them is not like the game, but the same people are having the conversation.
Yep.
The other one is a conversation that we never had. It's original to the show, but in the game it was heavily implied that a conversation had occurred.
Right.
So the first one, of course, is Joel and Tommy. And I find it very interesting how it's very different and to the game where Joel is like jealous of where Tommy is right now.
Yeah,
that's kind of where I feel it. And then it gets worse when he says that Murray is expecting. So that's like, what was this whole scene like for you?
Yeah, I mean, this was because I think Joel's been struggling all these years and living this really rough and tumble life, and then he was looking to like rescue his brother and bringing his brother back, and again, like, right, Joel the protector, and then to get to his brother and see that his brother's living like a fairly normal life, like almost like pre-outbreak life, and now has a wife and is expecting a kid. So he has everything that Joel lost now. And he's thinking, I got to save him. And here he is over there just, life's pretty good. It's not that bad. Like, they're
like
able
Ellie
to
says,
manage.
like Ellie says from Jackson, this place fucking works.
Yeah, like exactly. So I think, you see him get there. And I think, there's jealousy. There's maybe almost like a sense of betrayal. I think he's just like in fucking shock, like, what? Like, this is out, like, you're able to pull this together. Like, maybe there's other places out there that like this, like, I haven't have to be living in this QZ zone, like putting my life on the line every day, So yeah, no, I definitely think that was, an interesting scene again, like, Pedro Pascal and it's
Gabriel Luna.
I always want to say Diego Luna, and that's not. It's Gabriel Luna. Gabriel Luna. They just absolutely just knock it out of the park. I mean, like they really feel like brothers, and they're just doing a lot of truthful acting there. It's really great.
I love how they're at odds because of this jealousy, or the way it's like Joel is low-key telling him, how dare you not need me anymore? Yeah. Like that's kind of like the feeling, right? Because and when he asked for help, it's like, I'm your brother. Like I've deposited this goodwill because I try to keep you alive. So like it's a very older person manipulation of, I've always helped you, so you kind of owe me. Yeah. But then Tommy goes like, no, you actually traumatized me because there was different ways of doing this, and we just weren't good at anything. So we just did the worst things ever. And
he's
I
Tommy's
love
moving on from that. He's like,
right.
I've moved on, I'm moving on. And Joel hasn't. He hasn't gone anywhere. So yeah, no, it was a really nice little wrinkle. You know, I love all this like cool like backstory we're getting for. I mean, I guess a lot of it was there and implied in the game too, but it's just, you know, it feels different, you know, just because like we're watching it now and it's like actors and you know, that, you know, not that they weren't actors doing the game too, but seeing real life people, not like, you know,
from down the
3D
street
models that were motion captured by people.
Right.
Yeah, there's something really special there.
Yeah. So they finish at odds, and then as what is it? And I think the moment that needed to happen happened. So he can't handle how he's feeling towards Ellie and towards himself. Tommy just shut him out. And then suddenly he has not a vision, but he sees something that I think was the final nail that broke him. Like we finally see Joel break.
Yeah.
And it's because he sees this person that reminds him of Sarah.
Yeah.
And this, I am not a father, but I can only imagine how horrifying and hurtful, but also painstakingly beautiful at the same time.
Yeah.
Like the idea of you can't help yourself but to imagine the what if she would have made it.
Well, because she
that
looked
would have been my
older.
granddaughter. Right.
It looked like an older version of Sarah, and it looked like that she had a kid as well.
Yeah.
So it was like that he saw a glimpse of what his future could have been, but it was all taken away. And now Tommy's about to move forward and get that future.
Yeah.
And like that's like the real conflict in Joel right now. And that's good television, Brandon.
Yeah.
That's
it's
good
great
television.
G Techie made a great point. He goes here and says, in the game, Tommy gives Joel a picture of him and Sarah, and he can't take it. I love that switch, right? Like, there's no picture here, but there's this moment because I think the best type of realization is not one that is influenced by someone else in terms of someone directly wanting to open your eyes. Like, life just opened his eyes.
Yeah.
Like natural progression. The idea that, yes, this is a better place. This is a place that fucking works. Like that is what's opening his heart and his mind to what we have, because it's not the first conversation that they have. They do have another conversation, which is where everything ends up. And I think we could talk about it now. It's like they have this conversation where Joel breaks. He's in tears talking about how afraid he is. Like he's lost tests. He keeps failing. Every time he wakes up, he dreams, but he feels that he's lost something. Every time he wakes up, he loses, which literally it's telling you like he's tired of losing people. And he's tired of feeling that it's his fault that he's losing people.
Yeah.
Because we're not talking about people that died because of cancer or people that died out of old age. The people that he feels he is, it's necessary that he protects. Those are the people that he's failing. And like Mike said, it's peak fiction.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that it's one of the most powerful moments in this story that I didn't know I needed.
Yeah.
You know, and I love that the show gave me this.
You know, it was like just like such a well written, well acted scene between the two of them. Pedro Pascal just absolutely killed it. I mean, yeah, it was heartbreaking, like to watch him like and just come clean and be real. Yeah, like you said, like, he lost it, he broke down, that was it. Yeah. Mike says Pedro Pascal deserves an Emmy for that performance. The subtlety and nuances make this one of my favorite episodes of the series. And yeah, I agree. That scene for me this episode was like that was my big emotional investment was this scene in this episode, and it hit me just as good as the emotional stuff in episode 3, just as much as the previous episode with Henry and Sam and that loss. This just good old fashioned vent
Yes.
conversation, because again it feels real. It's relatable. He's not a superhero. He's not he's a guy just trying to keep it together.
Yep.
And yeah, man, it's just so good. It's so good.
And also, I love how the scene starts. Like the director here, I forgot her name. Jasmina, I think is the name of the director.
Mhm.
I forgot the last name, but she did a phenomenal job in setting shots. There's a lot of shots that you can tell were just well prepared and set. And that shot of him in the workshop trying to fix his shoe, right? And not only, it's not just about the fact that he's trying to fix his shoe. What do we see earlier in the episode? He's taping his shoe because it's broken.
Yeah.
You see him putting tape all around his shoe because throughout the months and months and all the time that he's been walking, it's been walking, Christopher. Yeah. This shoe is beyond repair. But then here's the other side of nuance, which again, kudos to freaking Pedro Pascal. Did you notice that his hand is still hurting? That's the hand that he fractured in episode 1, punching the guard.
Oh wow, that's another nice little.
Yeah, he's trying to take it, and you can tell that he's in pain, and you can see that it's low key, still kind of swollen, but not swollen. Maybe it didn't heal right.
Yeah, probably.
And you see that he's probably because he's been punching a lot of things, and and you see how he's holding his hand like he's in pain. And that shot, that quiet shot, then leads to Tommy coming in and then the conversation. Bro, those are the little moments that make it so real, so relatable, and allows you to dig deep. You see that allows you to dig into what he's trying to put out there.
There's a great metaphor there too with the boot. I mean, he keeps taking the old boots, right? Is kind of like his old life, his old way of doing things. And what is he doing? He's trying to hold it together with duct tape, just trying to he's duct taping his problems.
Yes.
He's duct taping it. And then Tommy comes in and just says, I figure I'd save you. Here's the new shoes, Joel. Joel, put on the new boots. You got to start new. You got to start fresh. Yes. This could be a new life. It was a beautiful metaphor. It really was. As soon as I saw the show, I was like, it's good. Maybe it's a little on the nose, maybe a little in your face, but really it is that you can't just keep duct taping these shoes and expect them to take you the full way. You gotta start fresh. You gotta pick yourself up and you gotta do that. And and then that leads us right. So we have this emotional scene with Tommy. And him, telling about how he's tired of failing. He's worried he's going to get Ellie killed. And then, we have Joel goes to Ellie. Yeah. And says, hey, listen. And we find out, she already overheard the whole thing,
Damn, look.
Yeah.
Not Mike just dropping truth here. Joel, it's
very good. You know what? There was another thing like that.
Well done.
I feel like in one of the previous episodes, there was a
episode 2, because after, we don't know this yet, but after Tess and Joel exit the museum, she has to take a minute and tape herself because she hurt her ankle.
I knew there was another, but I feel like it might have been another one too. There were little things. I was like, those are gamey. Those are game things. That's really good. But that was just great with the shoe. So anyway, so we move on. We get that, and then we get him approaching Ellie. And she already heard everything already. Oh, and by the way, just quick, I'm gonna go back really quick. Awesome jobs to the costume designers, because when she got the new outfit, she got the exact coat from the game from Maria, and it was awesome. So
for that same scene. So before we jump into the scene with Ellie and Joel, right? Because that's one of the last big set pieces. We get the conversation between Maria and Ellie.
Yes.
Because in the game, Maria takes Ellie, and Tommy stays with Joel. And again, Ellie reacts the same way, like Joel, like you can't just leave me with people
Yeah.
because she's attached, right?
Yeah.
Rightly so. And then you have that conversation. And why is this conversation important? Is because in the game, Ellie finds out about Sarah off screen.
Yep.
Now we get who tells her. We have a very beautiful way of how she finds out.
Yeah.
We get a little bit more of Maria too,
Yeah.
like who she is. Which again, the actress that played Maria, mwah,
Yeah, she was
chef's
really
kiss.
good too. I like
So it's
her a
great.
lot.
And I love how it's funny. I love Craig was saying that when they were talking about the scene, he was telling these two actresses that there's no violence, but you guys are having a fist fight. That's what's going. And I love how it feels like this tug of
Yeah.
war. But the idea that she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry about your kids," and Maria goes, "Oh, just one Kevin. Sarah was Joel's daughter," and you can see Ellie's face is like, and then you go like, "Well, that makes a lot of sense."
Yeah.
Like she finally found the missing piece that makes Joel make sense. And
Right.
what a great way that you have, because of course the climax of this episode is that last
Yes.
that last conversation of the day. But throughout the episode, we have all the emotional baggage that's driving Joel through the episode up to that moment. And now we have also Ellie's side of it. I love how so well in the script they were able to just find ways to literally equip these characters to have that conversation, because there's no gameplay white noise. It's all show not tell, actual storytelling. And when you get to that moment, it just hits. And out of all the moments, I mean, again, I think if you remember, one of the greatest shots of the first sneak peek of the show was the line,
Yeah.
right? And I agree with Mike. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you're enjoying the stream. But yes, like the line. Say it again, Brett. Say it with your
If
best
you don't
Joel
like
voice.
and subscribe, you won't know what loss is.
I couldn't ask for a better co-host. Yes, like you do not know what loss is.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how it's so interesting how, in a way, for a lot of people that are a fan of the story, this is the scene that could break the show.
Yeah.
Like if this didn't work, if this wasn't done with the gravitas that it needed to happen, it would have set the show behind.
Yeah.
Because
But guess
this
what?
is one.
They fucking nailed it.
Yes.
They landed
Yes.
it, bro. They landed it.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
and
they did.
G-Techie. He did. He said, but you know what? He didn't say daddy. They changed it to I'm not your dad.
Yes.
But in the
Yes.
Troy Baker is, you're not my daughter, and I damn sure ain't your daddy. This is daddy.
Yes.
But we didn't get it. We just got I'm your dad. Because now,
Yes.
you know what? I don't think you can say daddy anymore, because now it's like daddy nowadays is like, oh, it's daddy. You know, it's too like, you know.
That's like that joke from Bill Burr when he says, "No doesn't mean no. No means no. No, no, stop it. You're bad." That doesn't mean no. So funny. But yes, it's like I love, and I don't know if you've noticed, and I didn't think about it till I heard the podcast. Even though in the game this occurs in a different location, they've moved it to Jackson.
Yeah.
This is a replica of that room from the game.
Correct. It is.
Same wallpaper, the diary's there, the shot of Ellie just sitting in the corner reading it. I don't know, man. It's so powerful. It's so good. Like when she delivers the line, she says it like, if everybody that I've cared about, everyone that I've cared about or loved, I've lost or has left me.
Yeah.
Everyone except fucking you.
Yeah.
Like, and she shoves him and she's breaking. And then when he says what he says, calm down, we're going. And then you can see that she's just destroyed. Like,
Yeah.
and he slams the door, and it's, bro, it's everything you needed the scene to be.
Yep.
But at the same time, it goes because of her reaction, because of how real she was. And I think it's like, if you think about it, right? Throughout the entirety of the show, everyone's been afraid to talk about Sarah.
Yeah.
Everyone. Ellie's the only one that's literally told him, I'm not her. Like, she is the only one that has confronted him with the reality of Sarah.
Yeah.
And of course, he reacts the way he reacts, but she doesn't budge. She was like, I'm not her. So I'm going to be a lot more scared if I'm not with you. Right. And of course, even though Tommy comes in the morning and she's ready to go.
Which, like, what a heartbreak, and played so well again. Like, when that door opens and it's Tommy and you just see Bella's face, and it just, like, you know, it just, she has to accept it. Just grabs her bag. All right. Yeah. That's what's happening. You know, like, you see it in her face and in her eyes, and it's great. And then, yeah. And then, like, what, I don't know. This is like, it's such a sweet moment, right? Yeah. It is, like, you know, when he comes, he's there, he's in the stable. He goes,
I was going to steal this horse.
Yeah, I was going to steal this horse and go. And he's like, you could have just asked. I'll give you one.
And then he goes, I think you deserve a choice. And she just throws the backpack on him, like,
yeah, okay, let's go. She's like, let's go. And he's like, okay. Like, and I love that. Like, they didn't. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's like that in the game too, right? Like, there's not.
Interesting.
Is there a little more of like a back and forth about it, or am I misremembering?
Actually, in the game is a lot more tender, because remember, all this occurs outside of Jackson. So after the conversation, they have the horse ride to Jackson.
Right.
At the entrance, where they can see the entrance of Jackson, Ellie literally goes and says, and then, that's when Joel goes, so where is this lab of theirs? Oh, it's in University of East Colorado. Oh, go Bighorns. And then suddenly he says, Ellie, give Tommy back that horse. And then Ellie flabbergasted. And you can kind of see she's tearing up, smiling, because she's not being left behind anymore.
Yeah.
Which, again, it's interesting how the way Ellie has suffered loss is very different from Joel's. Like, Joel has suffered loss because things have been taken away from him because of his inability to protect, or just because life, right? But in the case of Ellie, it's that, but the idea of survivor's guilt really is on Ellie as well. Which is why the idea of being left behind, is a big thing in Ellie, in which a way that DLC, when that came out, that's so powerful. The next episode is titled Left Behind.
Yeah.
And also the way this episode ends, it goes into those emotions and the idea of how Ellie has suffered loss. Right. Because we already know how Joel has suffered loss. We don't know as much of how Ellie has felt it.
But I just loved, like, you know, there wasn't like this, there kind of like wasn't, this like sappy moment between them. He just started to talk and she's just like, boom, let's go. And then go. I loved how he was just like, all right, like, let's go. Like, it was really good for this. It worked really well for like this, iteration of Joel and Ellie. Right. And so fun thing for next week. So I actually never played Left Behind. I know obviously the story, but I never played it. So next week's actually going to be really fun for me, because I can kind of go into next week. Like, listen, I don't know how long the episode is. I'm sure the count's out if we look it up, but I'm curious if it's going to be like all Left Behind, or if we're going to be kind of getting Bella dealing with the ramifications of what happened to Joel, which actually we should probably talk about that first before we start talking about next week.
But it's next,
because this is a little bit this is a change, and I was kind of caught off
it's
guard because I was thinking they were going to do
it
it exactly like how they did it in the game.
well, it's not a big change. I think it's a scenarios change, but it's the same
Well,
thing
the scenario is
happens
different.
kind of.
I personally kind of like how it happens in the game better, but okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
agreed.
Yeah.
There's a lot more. It's more action heavy.
Yeah.
That's where your gameplay, like I need more gameplay.
Yeah.
So supposedly next week's episode is going to be 56 minutes long.
All right, so yeah, I'm curious if it's going to be interspersed with. Well, what should we just say? So the very end of the episode, Joel and Ellie are leaving Jackson. We see a group of like 4 like raiders, like sweeping the area. They go to get out. They get to the horse. It looks like they're about to make it, and then Ellie yells, "Joel!" Joel turns around and a guy's about to hit him, and Joel he moves out of the way. The guy tries to hit him with the bat. Bat misses. They get into a scrap. Joel chokes the guy out and then ends up snapping his neck. It was pretty gruesome. And then, we see Ellie look down at Joel's stomach and we see that the broken end of the bat, Joel got stabbed with it and I was probably still in shock and survival mode and adrenaline. And then he goes down and loses a lot of blood, after a short, further ride. Different from the game. So in the game, he falls off like a second floor balcony and lands on a piece of rebar. And then we get the blackout, and then we go to winter, if I'm not mistaken, in the game. So this, similar injury, I think in the same spot too, actually, because I think Joel gets stepped kind of like through the stomach area with the rebar when he lands on it. But this time, with a bat, and so like that's where we're left off. So anyway, so for next week, we're going to do a lot of Left Behind, but 56-minute runtime. I'm curious if it's going to be, seeing what the outcome of Joel's injury is. And how Ellie's dealing with it, interspersed with flashbacks to Left Behind, because it kind of might work thematically, like
I think that's
on the verge of losing Joel, and then flashing back to the last time she lost somebody. Could be kind of interesting. But like I said, I never played that, so I actually don't. I know the basic details. I know what happens. Like I know that because over the years I've got it, but I'm not going to really know all the details.
Look at Mike just bragging.
Yeah, I'm sure. Listen, they're going 6 episodes in, and every episode has been really great. So at this point, I'm not expecting them to drop the ball. I think they can. I think they can bring this one home. But so next week I get to be excited. I'm not gonna really know any Easter eggs or any references, so I might be lame next week. I don't know. I have a feeling I might be. It depends if I'm around next week. I have a feeling my baby is on its way. For those who don't know, my wife's pregnant, like very pregnant, and like. We're like, and basically, like, if she doesn't have it in the next 2 weeks, she's getting induced on March 4th. So, like, I'm having the baby in the next 2 weeks, like, definitely. Just don't know when yet. But I have a feeling she's going to go before we have to get induced on March 4th. So, I might just get to watch it as a fan. And I don't know if I'll be around next week anyway. But I don't know if I'll have that much to offer because I've never played the source material on that one. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I might be here. I might not.
But I love how the cliffhanger is the same one as the game.
Yep. And a great cliffhanger.
Like Ellie desperately asking Joel for guidance as he fades because of the wound, because of how much blood he's lost.
Yeah.
And then the camera zooms out into the white of the snow and how big the land is, and this kid that doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And that's how the game ends, or at least this chapter of the game ends, which I love how they're using. Again, if it ain't broken, right? Yeah. The cliffhanger in the game works. So and it was written so well that it works here, and I love it for it, and I love the fact that they did it. I do want to mention this last little thing before we go into the Easter eggs. That was another addition to the show that is not in the game. Is we have wow, Mike. I thought for a minute it was Isaac, but no, it was
Mike. I don't know about that one, man. That's
Mike says in the chat,
that's unforgivable, man.
You have no idea what blood loss. Oh my god. Did you like the whole 2 assholes in a rifle sequence? Like Ellie and Joel just having family time, talking about
that was great.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
We never and how it spills into the whole university thing. Oh, I wanted to be a singer. Oh, you owe me, you got to sing, which introduces little things. It's like, oh, I was a contractor. everybody loves contractors. Like,
Yeah. Everybody loved that. And she was like, the contractor. Like, no, that's great. Like, I mean, listen, we needed a montage. We needed a montage to kind of just catch us up in the 3 months and how that relationship has changed. And I think it did a good job. And it was cute. It was sweet. It was corny. It was all the things that it should have been. It was like, it's this, this like father-daughter like duo, like growing closer together. And yeah, man, it was really cute. Again, like in less capable actors' hands,
yes,
a lot of this stuff wouldn't land. You know what I mean?
Would have
like,
been hokey.
Or it might have came off hokey. Even though I think the writing is really quite good, so even with some shitty actors, I think it still would be pretty solid. But I mean, you have just people that are just taking great writing and then elevating the great writing. And just these beautiful moments. And, like you said, the director too, like, the cinematography in this episode was really beautiful. Like, I think you started to allude to that. And I just think, in general, like a lot of just the shot framing, the pacing, this was a great episode. And, every little tool they used worked,
I love that we finally got, even though in a different scenario, we finally got this moment.
Yep.
So, and I love how Ellie goes, "Oh, it's not gonna work. The rifle's all messed up," and he actually lands the shot, and she goes, "You dick."
Yeah.
Oh, and when it zooms out, did you see what was written on the target?
Yeah, it's an asshole.
It is. It's perfect, guys. This episode was just great Last of Us stuff. I mean, this season has been so rewarding to me as a fan, to us as fans, but also as lovers of good cinema. It's been such a phenomenal show and such a great episode. Before we go, gamers, we'll never forget you. We're gonna go through our Easter egg list, and then we're gonna get the hell out of here. So, because I don't know, someone might have a baby. Okay,
can be literally any moment. Like, that is the craziest thing. It's just like any moment. Like I could get a call or a text, like, or I mean, when I'm home with her, maybe she'll tap me on the shoulder, like it's time. So it's exciting.
So these are the Easter eggs. So number one, Ellie's trying to learn how to whistle.
Yes,
that is an Easter egg from the game. You do have the whole astronaut thing. Her talking about her dreams as an astronaut is an allude to part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Joel talking about sheep in a way is allude to part 2 and farming and quiet. The hydroelectric power plant is a set piece sequence place in part 1 in the game. Damn, it's there.
Yeah.
We get Jackson, which is a big place location in chapter in part 2, but also we see it from afar in part 1.
Yeah. We get the inside look in this show, which is something we don't really get until the second game.
Yeah. We have the reunion between Tommy and Joel. We have that girl staring at Ellie. Now, of course, it could be Dina, which is a big character of part 2, I mean.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I wonder, is this Dina or is this that one girlfriend that Ellie has in the future that actually does her tattoo? Which, who knows? Or maybe they're one and the same now. I don't know. But I like this little Easter egg. I think it was very, very smart and very it was very, you see what I'm doing? Like a lot of nodding and prodding.
And I mentioned it before, but yeah, like the outfit, the new outfit that Ellie gets is the outfit that she has in the game.
Like I have a pic here. It's
the white and pink coat.
Yeah,
thing.
it's
the second I saw that, I was like, oh, they got the coat.
I mean, it's if it works, right?
It's cleaner.
Yes,
that's basically the thing. But it's the outfit, you know.
Well, remember, this is before Jackson, and they actually have laundries in Jackson.
That's right.
So Maria runs the place, or is one of the main people in Jackson. Maria and Ellie's conversation. I love how we have that conversation on screen, but it is an Easter egg, something happens off screen. Tonight, the kids will be watching movies. So in Jackson, or in part 1, where you say goodbye to Tommy and you see the gates of Jackson, Tommy drops the line, the kids will be watching movies tonight. And then Maria, and we actually see the kids watching movies. By the way, so many kids. We have not seen kids anywhere in the show. I mean, the first kid was that didn't work out, but we haven't seen kids anywhere in the show.
To put it mildly, that didn't work out.
That didn't work out.
Hashtag that didn't work out.
Yes, a lot of kids. Universities in Colorado. Go Bighorns. We actually get a little poster of the Bighorns. Again, talking about football, talking about singing. That's straight from the game, from that sequence. Yep. The great scene, you do not know what loss is, directly from the game. 12 monkeys. Like all the monkeys in the university loose.
Oh, yeah,
That's from the game. Like you literally found a bunch of monkeys. Now, Mike says on the chat, need those kids so Ellie will have friends next season.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so she can corrupt all the kids for next season. Also, the jump scare that occurs with the monkey, that is also an Easter egg from the game.
Yep.
So that was great. Joel's abdomen is pierced by a raider, or at least while fighting a raider. In the game is the rebar, like Brett was saying. Here's with the end of the baseball bat. As they escape, Joel literally falls because of the blood loss. Ellie's desperation seals the cliffhanger of the show. And last but not least, but I think one of the most important ones that we mentioned in the beginning, it all takes place in winter, which it's a big thing because I love those are the little nuances in storytelling and environment creation that really allow you to be immersed. Like those are the details that without you thinking about it as a gamer, I think I'm looking for, because it kind of creates a sense of homeliness to the okay, they're doing the thing. Like it gives me a peace of mind to just enjoy what they're doing. It looks like you in the jacket, right? Like, okay, that's the jacket. Okay, cool. So I don't know, Brett. We've done the thing. We've broken down episode 6. We talked about a lot of stuff. I hope you guys have enjoyed this conversation. Thank you for everybody, Derpy, G-Techie, Mike, for joining us in the chat. For those that join us home, thank you. You guys are amazing. We will see you next week. Maybe by myself. Maybe it's me and Mike. We don't know if Brett's having a baby, but we don't know. But we will be talking episode 7, Left Behind, which is the next episode next Tuesday between 8:45, 8:50 Eastern Standard Time. We'll be talking here and Beyond the Clickers. But before we go, I have to say something very important. I got to get off my chest. It's very crucial. The great Savage Starlight will always say, endure and survive. Stay awesome, guys. Like and subscribe. And we'll see you next time in Beyond the Clickers.
You got it.
Peace.